Hi, and welcome to the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian Fathers. I'm your host, Dan Hayden. After 23 years in the Army, working with and leading some of the finest men and women our nation has to offer, I turned to the coaching profession to help me write the next chapter of my life. What I didn't know was the impact it would have in my personal life as a Christian, as a father, and as a husband. That is why I have made it my mission to help Christian fathers go from miscommunication and tension in their relationships to relationships rooted in genuine understanding and mutual trust, so they can build a lasting legacy of faith and connection with their families and in their communities. Now, let's talk about the holidays. For many of us dads, the holidays can feel like walking into a minefield. Pressure to make everyone happy, keep the peace, and somehow find joy while juggling schedules, budgets, and expectations. It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. But for many families, it's when old patterns and frustration, control, and disconnection tend to resurface. But what if, instead of being a battleground, this season became your greatest opportunity to build the kind of legacy your family will talk about long after the decorations come down? That's what we're talking about today. How to create connection that lasts beyond the season. When most dads hear legacy, we think about the big stuff: the job we hold, the home we provide, the family name we leave behind. But in reality, legacy is forged in the small, ordinary moments, the repeated patterns of presence, tone, and attitude that just stack up over time. Think about Jesus. Most of his ministry wasn't performed on big stages or in front of crowds. It was built in ordinary interactions: meals shared, conversations along dusty roads, moments of compassion and listening. Your legacy as a father is built the same way, not in one perfect Christmas morning or the one time you say the right thing. It's built in the repeated pattern of being steady, present, and engaged, even when things don't go perfectly. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin. That's Zechariah chapter 4, verse 10. Just last week, I caught myself doing the opposite. One of my kids asked me a question right as I was typing an email. I gave them the classic, uh-huh, response without even looking up. They asked me again, and my response was pretty quick and pretty short. Hey, just a minute, I'm working on something here. A few minutes later, I realized I'd missed a moment to connect. So I went back, I apologized, and asked him to tell me again. The look on his face kind of reminded me our kids don't need perfect dads. They need present ones. That's what I mean by legacy in the small moments. Not flawless performance, but humble course correction. So when your teen rolls their eyes, when the conversations die at the dinner table, when you'd rather check out than lean in, those are your legacy moments. Here's a mental fitness practice. Before you walk into a family gathering or conversation, pause and ask yourself, what kind of man do I want to be remembered as in this moment? This simple pause and reset is one of the core tools we practice inside my Legacy Academy. Because transformation doesn't happen from information alone. It happens through repetition, reflection, and practice. I remember one Christmas when my kids were younger. I spent weeks trying to find the perfect gifts. But when Christmas morning came, the moment was over in like 15 minutes. Wrapping paper everywhere. I'm filling trash bags with the stuff, and the kids already moving on to the next thing. I realized I spent more time providing for my family than being with them. Does that sound familiar? Our families don't crave more gifts. They crave us, our attention, our laughter, our curiosity, our peace. You see, presence communicates value. When you look your child in the eyes, when you slow down enough to ask real questions, you're saying to them, you matter more than my to-do list. In spirituality, presence mirrors the heart of God. Emmanuel means God with us, not God performing for us, not God impressing us, but God present with us. So here's your mental fitness challenge. During this holiday season, try to practice 5 minutes of full presence. No phone, no agenda, Just engage, listen, and connect. It may not feel like much, but that's the stuff legacy is made of. Many of us dads hit the holidays running on empty. We're juggling work, family, expectations, and you step into December spiritually and emotionally drained. But here's the truth: you can't give peace if you don't have it. That's why mental fitness, training your mind to stay grounded, calm, and curious, is so critical. It's not about positive thinking, it's about renewing your mind, just like Romans 12, verse 2 says, so that you can respond from your best self, not your stressed self. Let's talk about the PQ side of this, the mental fitness behind it all. You've heard me mention mental fitness before, or what we call PQ. That stands for positive intelligence. But what does that really mean for us as Christian fathers? PQ is all about learning to quiet the voices in your head that drain your peace. Those inner critics we call saboteurs. They tell you you're not good enough, you're falling short, or why even try? They're not going to listen anyway. Those voices hijack your reactions. They make you impatient when your kids push your buttons, defensive when your wife brings up something hard, or withdrawn when you feel like you failed. Hey, but here's the good news: those voices aren't the real you. God has given you authority to command your thoughts and emotions. That's why we have what we call our sage, that Christ centered, spirit led part of you that can see every challenge as a chance to grow in wisdom and love. I'll say again, Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's what PQ training helps you do, to literally rewire your brain to respond with peace instead of pressure. When your teen rolls their eyes, your saboteur brain says, disrespect, shut it down. When your teen rolls their eyes, your saboteur brain says, she's disrespecting me right now. But your sage brain says, this is a chance to practice patience, empathy, and maybe even some leadership. The difference between those two responses, it's not willpower, it's mental fitness. The muscles you build when you practice awareness, curiosity, and presence over time. Inside the Legacy Academy, we train that muscle every day of every week. Because faith without renewal becomes routine, but faith with a renewed mind becomes transformation. And that's why PQ matters, because legacy isn't just about what we pass on, it's about who we're becoming in the process. Inside my Legacy Academy, we call this leading from overflow. It's where faith meets practice, because when you're spiritually and mentally equipped, you show up differently for your family. You don't just react, you respond with wisdom, empathy, and presence. So before you rush into the season, take time to recharge. Take a walk, spend quiet time with God, breathe. Because when you enter equipped, your family receives the best version of you, not the leftover one. Now let's take this a step deeper. If you've been feeling stuck in the old command and control mode, where every conversation feels like a lecture or a battle for authority, you're not alone. A lot of dads struggle to make the shift from parenting young kids to coaching young adults. Your teenagers don't need more rules. They need relationship. They need a father who leads with curiosity, empathy, and partnership. That's what we practice every week inside the Legacy Academy. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning to coach your kids through life's challenges instead of controlling them through fear, whether it be yours or theirs. Let me talk about a couple of things we teach inside the Legacy Academy. We talk a lot about curiosity, empathy, and partnership with our kids. Curiosity: instead of correcting first, ask one more thoughtful question. Empathy: acknowledge their emotion before offering a solution. Partnership: invite them into problem solving instead of dictating. Come alongside of them. For example, if your teen snaps, you just don't understand, instead of fighting back, try, hey, you might be right, but can you help me understand what I'm missing here? That's coaching. That's how trust is built. And that's why this holiday season can become a training ground for lifelong connection. And if that resonates, if you're ready to make the shift before the holidays hit, I'd love to invite you to my upcoming masterclass on November 30th called Navigating Conflict, Turning Challenges into Kingdom Opportunities. We'll unpack practical tools to handle family conflict with confidence, grace, and wisdom, so you can bring peace into your home instead of trying to keep peace around it. So as you head into this holiday season, remember, legacy isn't built in the big gestures. It's built in small, repeated moments. Presents always matter more than the actual presents you give away. And you're most powerful when you lead from overflow, not exhaustion. You have a choice. This holiday season can be another round of frustration, or it can be the start of a new legacy of peace, connection, and faith. If you want help walking that out, come join us for the November 30th Masterclass. Again, it's titled Navigating Conflict, Turning Challenges into Kingdom Opportunities. You can register at the link in the show notes. It's completely free. And if you're ready for deeper transformation, this masterclass is the perfect on-ramp into my Positive Legacy Academy, a 12-month journey where fathers learn how to coach their kids toward trust and lifelong connection. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please go ahead into Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Like, subscribe, give it a 5-star review. Every little bit helps. Even forward it to someone who you think might want to hear stuff like this. Hey, until next time, stay rooted in grace, stay mentally strong, and keep building your legacy one conversation at a time. I'll see you next week.